Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to Beyond Breakfast. We are going back to Rav Dessler again. And Rav Dessler actually, I just thought this was appropriate, wrote a series. Hi.
We consider calling it brunch in a class?
Brunch in the class, because it's so late. I think brunch doesn't start until like 10:30 or 11. So technically it's still breakfast. All right. So Rav Dessler actually wrote a series of articles or letters on Galut and redemption. And I thought that reading them and going through them right now would be very appropriate. So I went through them. I began translating them. It's a long piece. It'll take us like a week or two to kind of like go through it. So he starts as follows. This is on the exile of Edom and the Mashiach. Just be mindful that Rav Dessler lived through World War II, and these essays were written right after. Okay, so a lot of the ideas, concepts of the Gemarot and so on and so forth that he's kind of pulling together were all formed and forged by, pass it behind you, by his experience living in a world which he saw kind of like burn to the ground and re-emerge. So Rav Dessler says as follows. He quotes a pasuk over here in Yeshaya. He says, "Fear not, al tira avdi Yaakov." So Rabbi Nachman, he's quoting here the Midrash, says that Yaakov he dreamt, and behold, a ladder was set on earth. Rabbi Shmuel bar Nachman said, "These are the guardian angels, the spiritual ministers of the nations of the world." Rabbi Shmuel bar Nachman taught, "The Holy One, blessed be He, showed Yaakov Avinu, the angelic minister of Bavel, ascending 70 rungs, right? 70 ladders, 70 steps. The angel of Media rose 52. The angel of Greece rose 180. The angel of Edom did not descend. How long would he continue was not made known to him." That's the Midrash in Pirkei de Rabbi Eliezer. Okay? So at that moment, Yaakov was frightened and said, "Is it possible this one, Edom, will never fall?" So Hashem said to him, "Fear not, al tira Yaakov. Don't worry about it. Even if he is uncircumcised and dwells beside me, from there I will bring him down." This is what it says in Ovadia. Even if you will rise like an eagle, even if you place your nest amongst the stars, from there I will bring you down, says Hashem. Okay, great. So let's see what the Maharal says and how he explains this. Basically, a Midrash we are talking about Yaakov having a vision about all the different exiles that his descendants would go through, and each one he sees has a cycle and comes to an end. However, there's one, the Galut of Edom, has no end. And Hashem says, he sees no end. And Hashem says, don't worry about it. I'm going to bring it down. I'll take care of it for you. That's what the Midrash says. This is the Maharal.
Why could you not see it?
He couldn't see the end.
Why not?
That's a good question.
What do you learn from that?
We're gonna explain it. That's a great question. Yeah, 100%.
In the same way that Hashem cut the 400 years to 210 years, He can cut this one too.
Oh, of course. We're not saying it's never going to end. We're saying from Yaakov's vantage point, for whatever reason, he did not see an end. He saw an end to the cycle, each galut having a cycle and coming to an end, but for some reason, the Edom had no end.
I thought there was also some place where it says that he could see the end, but he wasn't allowed to communicate it.
That's later.
Okay.
That's later. That's on his deathbed. This particular story. Correct. This particular story is specifically before he has children. It's when he's leaving his house. It's when he has this the dream, the Jacob's ladder, or the angels coming him down. This is how this particular midrash interprets that reality. So this is the Maharal. Yaakov. This is all quote from the Maharal. Yaakov saw the rise and the fall of the first three kingdoms, Bavel, Media, and Greece, because the rise and fall are dictated by the natural world and human events. Therefore, as one who lived in the world, Yaakov could see the complete cycle. So he's saying that just like you have mazal, through the mazalot, you could actually see the rise and fall of these powers. These are a part of nature. This is part of the script. It's in the programming. So he could see it. Comes to an end. Right? There's an inevitable downfall reaching their peak. Exactly. However, the fourth kingdom, Edom, Rome, Western civilization, he says that, in quotes, Yaakov only saw its rise but not its fall. Why? That's your question. Because its downfall does not originate within the limits of the physical world, it comes from the upper realm, and Hashem himself will bring it down, which means that Bezrat Hashem today, but that also means that it's not part of the cycle of Mazalot, which means that the Derech HaTeva...
But that's Abraham, he was also above.
Correct, but we're saying, but Derech HaTeva, Edom has no downfall. There's no natural way to take down this fourth exile, right? The only way that it comes down is with Hashem's intervention. This is Rav Dessler. Okay, and this is quoting the Maharal. Okay, so he's saying that this is really a spiritual intervention, and it is written, even if you rise like an eagle, I will bring you down, meaning not through natural cause, but through divine intervention. Therefore, since Yaakov was in the physical world, he cannot perceive the downfall of the fourth kingdom. Its fall will only come through Melech HaMashiach, whose status and level is rooted in the upper worlds, not of this world. The nature of the final exile and the coming Mashiach. The exile of Edom is not natural. Worldly phenomenon is limited to the laws of the world. Its power and dominion extend until this very end of the current order of the world, and its downfall must come necessarily through a higher mode of governance, one that transcends nature. Meaning, you understand, he's writing this at the end of World War II. He saw 6 million Jews die, and he saw the birth of the state of Israel. But where's Mashiach? The West, Edom is still in power. Yeah, it moved from one country to another country, but nothing changed. So, well, what happened over here? He's saying, listen, this is a spiritual thing. You could have all the wars in the world, and it doesn't change a thing. Like this is partially, obviously, I'm not a geopolitical expert, and certainly not a military expert. And I believe Netanyahu when he says that we are in the 12th hour. But according to this particular Maharal, he would say, why are you bothering going after the nukes in Iran? There's no way to win this war. The only way to win the war is by it having Hashem come down and do His thing, right? So let's say we're going to wipe out Iran. Actually, there was a very cool AI video sometime yesterday of Khomeini pulling Bibi Netanyahu on a horse, wearing a crown through the streets of Iran. Not an accident that Binyamin is Shevet Binyamin. Mordechai was from Shevet Binyamin. Right? Iran is one of the descendants of a Haman. It's all part of the same story. We know what's going to be happening over here. But, at the end of the day, it's going to be gone. And what happens in 20 years from now?
America's going to drop the chamber pot.
Could be America will, right? But the point that I'm making, in 20 years from now, when Europe becomes Eurabia, and France becomes a nuclear power that's a Muslim country, and Germany becomes a nuclear power that is also a Muslim country, and England becomes a nuclear power that's also a Muslim country. How did this help in the scheme of things? Doesn't seem like anything. You're back to square one. Now you're going to go ahead and fight all these other. It's endless, right? So I'm a very big believer in chamushim, right? I said this last night. The Torah says when Am Yisrael left Mitzrayim, chamushim, they armed themselves. Why did they arm themselves? They just witnessed the greatest miracles on the planet. They saw the greatest things happening. Because you got to do your hishtadlut. Hishtadlut's your hishtadlut.
Chamushim was not chamushim.
Chamishim, right? The Midrash says over there that all 4/5 died. Some say chamushim doesn't mean with weapons, it says with mitzvot. Different ways of understanding it. But I believe you got to do hishtadlut, no question about it. And you could say this was our hishtadlut. But just be mindful that at the end of the day, the only way this thing works, the end of this galut, the only way we get to Mashiach is if God says, I'm going to bring Mashiach. And therefore, there's nothing we can do. The Khomeini and the IRGC, they believe they're Shias. And Shias...
The 12th Imam.
The 12th Imam is Mehdiism, right? And Mehdi said that the only way their equivalent to Yomot Mashiach will happen is when the last drop of Jewish blood is spilled. Right? The war that's happening
That was yesterday.
the war in Israel with Gaza and Lebanon with Hezbollah, it's a religious war. It's not a land dispute.
Of course.
It's obvious. Only crazy people don't understand what's happening in that
Iran
region.
has no land dispute with Israel.
Exactly.
Other
Right.
than
It's
on formerly Muslim lands.
correct. This is a theological war, right? And now the Jewish approach, by the way, to bring Mashiach is not like the Islamic approach. The Islamic approach is convert or die. I take out the sword, you're in, you're out, figure it out, right? You're not in, you're an infidel, off with the head. That's the way it works. You have to do everything you can, your hishtalut, to bring Mashiach. Our way of bringing Mashiach is not through war.
Peace.
It's through limud haTorah and gimul chasadim. Right? Now, again, if I could go back into a time machine and figure out, if I was in politics, I would love to have been able to figure out a way
Just get rid of Ishmael.
of creating a real peace with Ishmael. That's possible. There will be peace with Ishmael because we know Ba'achat Yamim, Ishmael and Yitzchak,
Trump is trying
they
to do.
did what's it called? They made shalom. They made shalom, and that means if they can do it, it's Maseh Avot Simul Abanim. We can do it. Bezrat Hashem, we'll see this soon. Maybe it comes, we say, strength through peace through strength, and maybe this is it. Bezrat Hashem, today it happens, and this becomes the precursor to the Mashiach. So let's just finish to the end over here. So he says. You know what? Crazier things have happened. Crazier things like Germany.
Could come to Khomeini, and Khomeini could put on a press conference that Hashem is the right way.
Right.
Anything can happen.
So he says over here, its power, its dominion extend until the very end of the current order of the world, and its downfall must come necessarily through a higher mode of governance, one that transcends nature. This is the essence of the revelation of Mashiach. From the perspective of the physical world, it's impossible to perceive an end to the fourth kingdom. That is why Yaakov saw the fall of the first three kingdoms and not see the fourth kingdom of Edom. He was gripped by fear and said, is it possible that this one will never fall? So Hashem has to say, don't worry about it. Hashem answered him, even if he's uncircumcised and he's by me, I will bring him down. On the top of page 2. That is, even if Edom's dominion appears endless and its ascent limitless, Hashem says, I myself will bring him down, which means, Al tira Yaakov, don't worry. Don't worry about it. Its downfall will not be through the natural course of history, but will be through supernatural beyond laws of nature. The same way that Mitzrayim was destroyed supernaturally.
I am not an angel.
Right, that's right. From the vantage point of the natural world, it may seem that there's no possible downfall at all. Yet Yaakov saw that Hashem had revealed him such a lofty transcendent insight, became deeply frightened, saying, how awesome is this place? There's none other than the house of God, and this is the gate to heaven. Sharei Shamayim. This means Yaakov recognized that he had been granted a glimpse of the upper realms, a vision of the Beit HaMikdash, a reality above the world where such divine truths and spiritual insights are accessible. Through this elevated perception, he saw the fall of Edom would only come through heavenly realms, and that Mashiach's revelation would mark the fall not by a political process or natural decline, but through fundamental divine transformation. Which means, by the way, what he's really setting you up for is that the way in which we transform this reality is through inner transformation. The way we win wars is not by going out and it's this internal upheaval, a war with the self, and allowing that to overflow into the world. Be'ezrat Hashem, tomorrow we'll pick up with Edom in our times to the strain for divine mercy. Have a great day, everybody.
Wonderful.